IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we share the journey of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners.
Hi guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories. Now before we get on with today's episode, a couple of quick announcements. First off, a big shout out to Ajita Yasmin for her 5-star rating and a very kind review on iTunes. Thank you Ajita, it's much appreciated. And as for today's episode, we speak with Tony Francis, a radio and advertising veteran who's recently turned novelist with his first book, The Autograph Seeker, a tale of two love stories that have been beautifully weaved together. Now, if you're wondering why we're talking of a book and not a destination on the podcast, it's for the simple reason that the book is set in Calcutta and beautifully captures Calcutta of the 80s and the 90s. So sit back and enjoy as Tony takes us back in time, literally. As a token of our appreciation, we're giving away a copy of Tony's book, The Autograph Seeker, to our listeners. All you have to do is write to us on any of our social media handles or email to us at themusafirstories@gmail.com, and one lucky listener will get a copy of the book, which we will announce on the next episode to be aired at the end of this month. So good luck and on with today's episode. So Tony, welcome to the Musafir Stories and thank you so much for being a part of the podcast.
Hi Tony, welcome to the Musafir Stories.
Hey, Saif and Peza. Very, very happy to be on the podcast. Musafir Stories is doing brilliantly well and so very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to host you.
Yeah, we're really glad to have you and talk more to you. We're really looking forward to this conversation. Tony, why don't you give listeners a quick synopsis of your book and then we can jump into your days growing up in Calcutta.
Great. So the book is called The Autograph Seeker. And see, every author, especially when he is pitching it to a publisher or an agent, has to give a log line. A log line is essentially the entire book captured in 2 or 3 lines. So this is the log line of The Autograph Seeker. It's a story of a schoolboy in Calcutta who, against all odds, puts up a play on the history of his school. Now, the play features the love side of a married English woman and a native Indian set in British India. To help the boy in the play is this mute Anglo-Indian beauty who the boy loves, but who will leave him forever. That's the log line. Now, how did I discover the story? So I am from St. Xavier's School and College, Calcutta. So 15 years of my life was spent on Park Street in this beautiful 150-year-old institution. In 83 or 84, when the school turned 105 years, there was a postal stamp that came out. And along with the postal stamp, there's something called a first day cover that comes. Now, the first day cover is it just represents what the stamp stands for. And on that first day cover was this picture of a structure which didn't look anything like the St. Xavier's I was studying in. Much later, perhaps during graduation, I came to realize that in the 1800s, there was a theatre, and one of the grandest theatres in Calcutta called the San Souci Theatre. Now, this theatre was very popular. There was this actress called Esther Leech who was drawing the crowds in. She was a widow herself, and there were lines outside her green room just to date her because she was that gorgeous. And this is not the theatre which is the biggest in Bengal, but the biggest in India. One day while she's on stage, her dress catches fire and she's like burning on stage, and a couple of days later, she dies tragically. Now, a lot of people in Calcutta know that. What they don't know is that the theatre, which is so famous, is now losing its popularity. Esther Leech is gone. They've tried many things. Nothing's working. A few years later, the manager decides to put up a play, do something revolutionary. And this is Calcutta, Park Street. During the height of British prejudice, he says, let me do something radical. Let's get a native nigger. That's how the local Bengalis were called. Yeah, and let him become Othello. And the lady who will, do the role beside him will be Esther Leech's daughter, who's already married. Now this play is put up, and all this is real, okay? This play is put up.
The play was Othello, right?
The Othello is a play that's put up. The first week it gets banned because there are cops outside, because all the actors were soldiers from Barakpur. There are cops outside, not allowing them to go in. But a week later, it's staged with a whole new bunch of actors, which becomes a fairly decent hit. In fact, papers write about it. Some say that, Othello was okay with his... very grudgingly, they compliment him.
Sure.
And then no one knows what happened to the actor and the actress. That's all that history talks about. And finally, of course, the theatre shuts down and becomes St. Xavier's College and School. Now, that's when I come in. So when you discover a story like that, I had to bring in to have a novel to it. And that's when I link this story, the relationship with this Indian actor and this married English woman, and linking it up with a story of a schoolboy in St. Xavier's who was collecting autographs of people who were relevant in the 80s and 90s. And then, of course, the love for this Anglo-Indian girl who is mute. How these stories merge together and this is put up. Yeah, that's essentially it.
Exactly. In the backdrop of St. Xavier's School, and in the backdrop of the great play, which is Othello. Yeah.
That's correct. And with all these whispering landmarks of Calcutta that are so damn romantic. I mean, each building has a history, that city.
Absolutely. So, thank you for laying it out nicely for us. And if I may, I think in one way it is like two tracks, right? Two parallel tracks running through the novel, and they're beautifully interlaced, right? One track is between Alice and Addy. That's the Calcutta that's set in the 1800s, I guess. And,
that's correct.
One is more recent, right? In the
80s and 90s.
80s and 90s, where Tony, that's played by you. And the
only reason why the character's name is Tony is because the autographs were in my name.
Right.
From the Amitabh Bachchan to a Rakesh Sharma to a Clive Lloyd to an Anand Border to Shahrukh, all of the autographs were in my name because I got those, and therefore I thought I'll bring in these autographs to propel the story forward.
And I think it's done brilliantly well because firstly, it's very nostalgic going back to the autograph era, right? Nowadays, we're living in a world of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Autographs almost seem like a thing of the past, but it was really nostalgic even for me. And how you've beautifully linked them to the story as well is something I admire a lot. So just getting on with the story of the podcast today. So tell us a little bit more about growing up in St. Xavier's and how was it during the 80s and the 90s? Give us a flavor of Calcutta of those days and St. Xavier's of those days.
So St. Xavier's was a mighty institute. I mean, we've got Tagore who studied over there. Jagdish Chandra Bose, who's from there, Raj Kapoor, Pal Dutt, and these are all huge, beautiful human beings who contributed so much to the city and to the country. I think that place does something to you. It commands respect. The teachers were varied. They were the fabulous ones. They were the average ones. They were the ones who gave you trouble during your formative years. But overall, I think the institution was bigger than anything else. And it's plump in the middle of Park Street and Shaw Street.
Park Street is one of the famous streets that has been the hub of Kolkata's nightlife and food scene during the 70s and the 80s. The bustling street has some iconic landmarks like the St. Xavier's School and College, Park Hotel, Park Circus, South Park Street Cemetery, and joints such as Trinica, Blue Fox, Mocambo, and Mola Rouge.
So there is primary school. And then when you finish class 5, you move to the high school with this huge playground, and it was an L shape then. Now it's become a U because more buildings have been built over there. So it was a huge landmark, St. Xavier's. I remember teachers would say that just put my name and put St. Xavier's over there, nothing else, and my letter will reach me. And that was the kind of pride each of them had about Xavier's. So the thing about I remember very fondly is that if you never knew a boy's name, you called him Sunny. So they had the little traditions of Xavier's. But I think the teachers believed in you, which was something wonderful about that place. Which is why I think institutions are built on the teachers. So this book is also an ode to them. So while writing the story, I slipped in the autographs of some of the teachers also who were so relevant to me. So I write very clearly this is the story of fiction. but yet we have taken real names of teachers because they had a very strong history with this institution, and therefore I take their names. So those were my indulgence with the book, and I think that's the reason why it struck a chord. A reader can't figure out whether it's an autobiography or it's fiction. So I remember very distinctly there was this beautiful girl, basketball, ponytail, and running around, and I know that she can't speak. And I often wondered if I ever got to, even be remotely associated with her, and if she liked me and I liked her, how do we communicate? And that stayed in my head for so many years till the story came out. I mean, then I thought, why don't I just bring that up, and something that I thought then let her be a character from that school, and that's how this boy falls in love with this girl, and then of course how they communicate. So it's a story of this boy who talks a lot and a girl who can't speak.
Yep. And then just going back quickly to St. Xavier's too, I completely agree that it is like the institution, right? It is something of its own, given the kind of history it has, and even the kind of old boys of St. Xavier's, as you call them, right?
Right.
A variety of leaders.
Saurav Ganguly was my senior in school.
And Shashi Tharoor also, I think, right?
Shashi Tharoor, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he would have long debates with some of the priests or the Jesuits. The Jesuits are one of the best in education.
Right.
Their entire lineage is from your Reformation and the Counter-Reformation era.
Jesuits are members of the Society of Jesus, a Roman Catholic order of priests that was founded by St. Ignatius Loyola, St. Francis Xavier, and others in 1534 to do missionary work and were elemental in the Counter-Reformation movement.
So Tharoor even now talks about having these long, healthy arguments with his teachers who were priests. It could be from religion to science, but it was very, very healthy. So I think that was what Xavier's did. It gave you a very healthy attitude towards life, a very healthy ego to be with. In fact, while we talk about St. Xavier's, you should also talk about the Jesuits who run it. Because, as I said, this Reformation happened because the church needed some cleansing. This is the 15th century.
Right.
And that's when Martin Luther comes in, and then the Protestant movement it just spreads. And then here is Ignatius Loyola, who says, yes, the church definitely requires some cleansing. So while he does that, to perhaps counter the Reformation, which is why it's called the Counter-Reformation movement, he and his bunch of disciples, some of them students, they start training the children of the emperors in those regions.
Right.
And through education. So now you can see how education is an integral part of Jesuits, which is why the XLRs of the world, the XIMBs, the Loyola colleges, education is very good because they have a lineage of that.
Yep.
Right. And we've got a couple of them in Bangalore as well. Top colleges, top schools.
St. Joseph's. Yeah. And they all happen to be in prime areas.
Exactly. With the huge playgrounds.
Near Brixton Road, MG Road. Similarly, Xavier's will be in Park Street.
Yeah.
That's so true. And as I was saying, this has all been played out, like St. Xavier's in itself, right? It is one of the main characters of the book, as you said, and it's been played out really well. And even apart from that, the little characters you have, as you said, calling out somebody you don't know by addressing them as Sonnies and stuff like that. It's all done really nicely, and love the chemistry between Tony and Vinny, his mute friend. Everything from that feeling of being a first crush to is it infatuation, is it first love, to the fits of anger she has, tantrums she throws, all of that. I think it's been very nicely portrayed. It kind of takes you back in the day while you were in school. It just makes you feel that way. And talking a little bit more about the life in school, right? How was life outside of school? How was social life back in the day, Tony, as you've portrayed in the book, and even out of your personal experience growing up in Calcutta?
I think we had limited forms of entertainment. There was Doordarshan,
right,
which is again so clearly mentioned over there. The serials that they showed over there, let's say Ye Jo Hai Zindagi, Hum Log. We never had choices like the way we had today. Right. So there's a serial is there, that's part of your life. A Karamchand, they're all part of your life. And the next thing, of course, that we had was your movies.
Yep.
And then there was cricket. So there was these three things. There was Doordarshan, there was the movies that you went to watch, and then there was cricket. which is why the autographs that are featuring in the book are all sort of P.T. Usha, a Clive Lloyd who played over there, and then at the Eden Gardens. Now, Eden Gardens, see, these are things you can never forget. So I remember Eden Gardens, which is a huge, huge stadium. I think its capacity is one of the biggest in India.
Established in the year 1864, Eden Gardens is a cricket stadium in Kolkata. It is still the largest stadium in India by capacity. It has been home to some of the famous matches right from the 1987 World Cup finals to the 2016 World T20 final.
If you walk into the Eden Gardens, if you're a kid, and I was a kid, you get scared, yeah. It is that huge, and there's this 1 lakh population just chanting and screaming. It can just scare anybody.
Exactly.
You almost wonder what. So that is the kind of impression that Eden Gardens was. Yeah. So while I've got the autograph of Clive Lloyd into the story, I must tell you that when Clive Lloyd was playing, and the crowds in Calcutta are a very competitive crowd. They want their teams to win, and they can make fun of you. They can throw table tennis balls at you in case you don't score, etc. It's happened also. So here, a 1 lakh audience. Of it I vaguely remember, but most of it is because I was told to me as to what actually happened. Now here's Clive Lloyd on 99, and suddenly I can see lights everywhere. There's these lights. The entire stadium is just shining. You can't see people. You can only see shiny things, and all of them are shining onto. And they've got mirrors in their hands. Can you believe it? People have come with mirrors in their hands, and they're shining onto. Reflect the reflection onto Clive Lloyd's face so that he doesn't score his 100.
Oh Lord!
As a distraction. Yeah.
And this is a very tough team. But of course, this man goes across to score his 100, and then they put their mirrors back and they stand up and they clap. So I remember my mom telling me, this is what happened. I said, why are they doing this? They said he was on his 99, they don't want 100. And why they're clapping? That's how they are. I mean, they appreciate a good play, and then they clap. And that finds its place into the book. Yep. I get that experience. I know Eden Gardens is huge stadium. Anybody who's in Calcutta should visit that huge stadium called Eden Gardens and experience a match over there. They're very passionate. They'll do crazy things. They'll start burning paper and all that. That's Calcutta. That's the passion of Calcutta. Absolutely. In fact, I've narrated this to Kabir Khan also, who I met. So this book is nominated for the Mami Were to Screen, where they screen books, and then they give you a platform where movie makers can come and interact with you to make it a film. Right. So I met Kabir Khan last week, and he's making a movie on the '83 World Cup.
Oh, okay.
Kabir Khan, the guy who made exactly. So he was very curious to know about this Clive Lloyd story. So these are some things that people forget. Yeah. So we had a little chat on this, how Eden Gardens is so important a place, because remember that's where the World Cup, after the '83 World Cup, the next World Cup finals happened at Eden Gardens. Yep. It was played between Australia and England. Right. The whole country was supporting Australia because remember England, the British and whatnot. Yeah, so it was still a new independent country, I guess. Yeah.
Good memories. And talking more about social life, right? Even like you did mention, movies was something. So you have made like good references like to Jamuna Cinema. That's one of the famous joints back in the day, and also plays, right? Like you said, Kala Mandir as one of the things. So that was also another way of entertainment back in the day, right? Because we had limited avenues for entertainment, basically. So
sure.
That I'm sure.
If you're on cinema, please understand, Calcutta, if it gets hot, it gets so hot that a tar starts melting and goes into the drainage. It can be that hot. And so where do you go to get some chill breeze? So obviously the ACs of the cinema halls. No. So there was the Elite. There was Elite Cinema played Hindi movies. Okay. There was Globe. So this Globe is near the Newmarket area. So near Newmarket was Globe, which played English movies a lot. Then there was Jamuna, which played English movies. Again, near Newmarket were two theatres which were side to side. One was Lighthouse, and the other was New Empire. Yeah, New Empire. Both played some brilliant English movies. So these were all landmark places to go watch your movies. Elite, of course, played Hindi. There was Roxy, There was Chaplin. These are very, very old theatres. But with the AC running and you're watching the curtains part and then the movie starts. Those were brilliant experiences. And then that's the only entertainment. I mean, that was huge for us. That entire experience of going for a movie was so close to our hearts. And as of course, as you grow, then you knew the theaters that played those comedy movies, with the hope there'll be one scene over there. But we had kissing scene also, but that was worth it because we were so deprived of it in all this old boys school. So there was a Tiger Cinema. Yeah, I remember. Where those controversial movies played, where we went with hope. We'll see something and we'll have bragging rights and we'll go and speak about it and have a story to speak.
Yeah, I completely hear you because these days there is access to everything, right? Literally on your phone.
Yeah, it's sad.
So back in the day, we used to value these things.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I know.
Don't do that. That kills it. It just kills all the beautiful experiences. The little things are so fine, but anything else beyond, especially the access that we have, it kills it.
Yeah, I so agree.
Tony, you have mentioned a lot of crazy eating joints as well in your book, from the yummy cream rolls to maybe the kebabs. So why don't you tell us a little about those
Kolkata
places as well?
Or Calcutta has been like famous or synonymous with food also, right? It's very distinct and...
So please understand, I'm from a middle class background. My Mallu father, Malayali father, did not believe in the concept of pocket money and stuff like that. So here I had friends who were far more generous. So my best friend was this Mona Punjabi guy, and now there was a clear difference between my Malayali household and this Punjabi household. But my household, the biscuits we bought, it would be the arrowroot biscuit is for the kids. The cream biscuits are for the guests. It's very, very clear. There's no second thought to it. Thumbs up around was luxury. I mean, see, it's not that dad didn't afford it. It was the way we looked at life as such. Things were, and I'm talking about perhaps by the 90s things changed. I think we became more open, things became more accessible, etc. But I remember the 80s was a more conservative year. While here we have Gotham house where everything was open and have whatever you want, etc.
Gautam is Tony's best friend in the book, the same rich neighbor from the Punjabi household that Tony refers to earlier in the episode.
So with limited pocket money, you can't go about to all these big places. So when we go also, it's that, so you love that sandwich from Cookie Jar, the chicken sandwich. Oh, I mean, I can have probably the same taste, but it'll never be the same. When you're when you buy that and that Naum's Bakery, some of those nice. Of course, Christmas we baked our own cake, but otherwise we could also pick up stuff from Naum's, which is in Newmarket. That was the great choice. Packed. Okay, you've got no place. Or if all else fails, you go to Flurries.
Right.
But it's a fight. I mean, it's like a war outside to get that, and it's over. It's back to capacity. But the biryanis are something out of the world, and that's only available in Calcutta.
Right.
And this was the best was available at this place called Shiraz biryani. Now, of course, there's Aslan also that is there. Yeah, Shiraz is so there's a biryani which is not spicy. I think it's made with a lot of cashew nut paste and this and that. It's very Mughlai. There will be this one aloo. Okay, there's one big potato, which is a necessity. It adds to the taste, and then this piece of chicken to die for, which is available nowhere. Of course, now in Bangalore, I see a lot of those that have propped up everywhere. But that, for a long, long time, was a very Calcutta thing, the biryani in Shiraz. So those are great memories. There was this place near Kala Mandir called Jimmy's Kitchen, where we had all our Chinese was Jimmy's Kitchen for us. Okay. Now, of course, they've got near Tengada, there is a whole lot of Chinese food available. Right. It's become this little township of Chinese food. It came, I think, in the 90s, I think Tengada emerged. But till then, it was Jimmy's Kitchen, which was the go-to Chinese place, at least for me. The ones who stay near Park Circus and the Park Street, and the Jimmy's Kitchen was the place to be in. In fact, he was from Xavier's. The owner's son was from Xavier's. Oh. Give me a discount, though. I remember asking. And I'm from Xavier's. I said, wonderful, wonderful. And I stopped there. I thought he get discount. It was wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, those were the things. There was Sagar number for non-veg. Then, of course, the rolls in Calcutta.
The Calcutta rolls.
very, very famous.
Yes.
Now, these are all your poor man's, fascinations for food. Yeah. So 11, 12 in Xavier's is college.
Okay.
And BCom department, BCom gets over by 9:40 in the morning. So you got the entire day to work and earn living or work towards doing your CA, etc. That is when I started getting some money. That's when the Mogambo happened. Or the steaks over there are lovely. Or even a pita cat. Or this is a great place called Alcove Bar, which is in Kenilworth Hotel.
Okay.
That happened. So these are all landmark events. Going over there once on a date is a landmark event. I mean, I don't remember what I had in which hotel I stayed also 3 weeks ago. But this I will remember. What happened that day? How much was it? How was it pre-planned? How was that date organized? How we, spoke to the bearer that, I'm going to come in 2 hours. There's going to be a lady with me. This is the budget I have. Do not recommend anything more than this. And they were also kind to even allow these eccentricities, to these kids. So that's Calcutta. It's such a beautiful place.
Yeah, good old days. Yeah, and talking about Calcutta, right? It has a very rich history too, like as a city, as a center of trade, and as a center of where the East India Company also started, right? Tony, that also in that sense, historically, it's a very significant place too. So some of the very iconic buildings too have been a part of Calcutta. Like first thing that comes to mind when one thinks of Calcutta is like the Victoria Memorial, right? So those also have like numerous mentions in the novel too. So some experiences about that, Tony?
The Victoria Memorial is a large marble building in Kolkata that was built between 1906 and 1921. It is dedicated to the memory of Queen Victoria, Queen of the United Kingdom. It's now a museum and a popular tourist destination in Kolkata, renowned for its Indo-Saracenic architecture and sprawling gardens.
So Victoria Memorial was like an amusement park, the malls of today. So people go to the malls to just hang around. People went to Victoria to hang around. No one went inside. They were all outside in that the grass, the sprawling gardens over there. Just sat over there, played cards, played games, threw the ball. Some parents who were working had to go for a meeting and the kids are stuck with them. They'll drop them to Victoria with the hope that nobody will kidnap them, go do their work, come back, pick them up and go back. Victoria was that, the Victoria of that time outside. Beautiful, beautiful place that is there. Of course, there was this chariot ride that happened outside where you can go on a chariot right around Victoria. So this book, by the time this character is in his 8th standard, is when Calcutta celebrates 300 years. Because Job Charnock came 300 years ago, buys a couple of villages, and that's how the East India Company settles itself in India and the city of Calcutta.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a mention of the Auckland Hotel, which was a bakery, which became a hotel named after Lord Auckland, George Auckland, who was one of the ones who visited this theatre called San Souci Theatre. And then it becomes, of course, the Great Eastern Hotel, which was almost called, I think, the jewel of the East or something.
Yep.
It had, I think, electricity first came to a 5-star hotel in India at the Great Eastern Hotel.
Correct. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Naxal movement came in and it starts plummeting. And of course, now I think Lalit has taken over that hotel. That is a landmark building which is mentioned in the book because the boy is discovering he has a project to do for the 300 years of celebration. And this girl, Winnie, is helping him out because somewhere the story of the theatre and Winnie is connected.
Yep.
And remember, Winnie is an Anglo-Indian girl. So that is there. There is this beautiful cemetery that you must visit. It's called the Park Street Cemetery.
Right.
Brilliant place. Oh, beautiful. A lot of movies. Satyajit Ray is also used in some of his books. There are movies set there. Beautiful cemetery. With there's also a grave of this gentleman called Henry Vivian de Rosio.
Okay.
Who was one of the youngest principals at the Hindu College, which is now called the Presidency College. There's a Bhawanipur cemetery where Esther Leech is buried, but no one is there. That is there. And of course, the church. Now, since you mentioned Job Charnock, who the first guy who came and set up the East India Company practically in Calcutta, his grave is at the St. John's Cemetery, right outside St. John's Church.
Right.
St. John's Church is again 1847 or which one of those very, very old church. No, it's earlier than that also. I think it's in the 1700s hundreds when it was built.
Right. And
Warren
it's also,
Hastings,
one of the iconic buildings also, right, of Calcutta.
Beautiful building.
Yeah.
There's a nice painting by a German inside the church.
Mhm.
In fact, some of the bricks are used from Gaur, I think, somewhere in the Malda area, ruins of Gaur.
Gaur or God is an ancient city on the Indo-Bangladesh border in West Bengal. It has been in ruins since the 16th century.
All that was shipped from the Hooghly, and it was constructed using that. One of the older, beautiful churches over there. And Job Charnock's, of course, he's buried there, right outside. But a nice, very nostalgic church. That's where the characters are also there. Somewhere Winnie and Tony land up in that church, and linking it to a stalker who's going after Alice, who plays opposite Addy.
Right.
The San Souci Theatre.
Yeah, and since you also touched upon the Hooghly River, how can we forget that, right? It's the lifeline of Calcutta, if you may. And it has like decent mentions in the book also in terms of where Addy lives, right, on the banks of the river, and how he hangs out with the tribes there, etc.
Right. Gypsy, the nomadic tribe.
Gypsy.
Yeah.
So, a lot of Calcutta. That's why I said, even though it might be in the backdrop, it is like one of the main characters of the book. It takes you back in time and literally touches upon every important aspect of Calcutta. The Howrah Bridge, for example.
Yeah, the Vidyasagar Setu. In fact, that bridge came up also a little late. The metro was the first in India, was in Calcutta.
Uh-huh.
It began probably in 82, 83, and then some 10 years later it was functional. It was a beautiful gift to the city of Calcutta. The metro was very important. The tram, of course. Oh man. So trams have got first class compartment and second class compartment.
Right.
So the first class compartment is 25 paise. The second class was 20 paise. That's how it was. And the difference is that the first class had a fan on. That's it. Everything else was the same. There was a 5 paise difference to first class and the second class. But the tram, again, an important part of the city. Yep.
Yeah. So that's why it gives you such a wholesome experience of literally it's like a tour of the city, right? Even though it's set in the backdrop of two beautiful stories, it gives you like very good flavor of important aspects of the city. And thank you, as I said once again, thank you for taking us to the City of Joy, right? Ironically, also Patrick Swayze movie that was shot in Calcutta. That mentioned in the book.
That's mentioned. So we were in the 8th standard when City of Joy, the announcement that, and he's straight out of Ghost. Okay, Ghost was this huge movie. It won Whoopi Goldberg an Academy, one of the biggest hits. Then right after that is Patrick Swayze coming to Calcutta to shoot for City of Joy. So they were hunting for places, and they were also hunting for a shoot where they'll have it right outside St. Xavier's. So then there was this announcement made that anybody who wants to be extras can land up and be extras for the City of Joy. Obviously, I volunteered. I remember getting some $100 or $50 or something, and you get to spend the entire day at the hotel and then go for the shoot.
Yeah.
I remember getting free cold drinks and this and that. Now, there was a lot of protests because of the fact that they're saying it's a bad representation of Calcutta, poverty is shown, it's poverty porn and this and that. Got a little violent, sets were burnt. So that finds a mention in the book where this character goes for the shooting, takes the girl along, and of course something dramatic happens and things like that. They reached out to a lot of local Bengali talent to take part in the movie. So in that sense, it was an important movie to have been shot over there. Another important memory that I must share with you is when the Pope lands up in Calcutta. And he happens to stay next to St. Xavier's.
Right.
Okay.
So first, when he lands, the government is wondering how do we go about doing it. The Jesuits of St. Xavier's were in charge of his entire tour. So obviously the scale is so big, it's a head of state. So they wonder how do we take care of this. So they go to Jyoti Basu, who was the chief minister then. And then you tell them, you know what, you're an ex-Xaverian. One help us. He says, no, you know what, I'm a communist party. We don't believe in God and all that. Here is a religious man coming. So he says, but you know what we'll do is, most importantly, is the head of state.
Right.
And they make an IAS officer, Mr. Murshid, to take charge of the entire event. So here is the Pope, Catholic Pope, the entire event managed by this wonderful Muslim gentleman. Yeah, and hosted by a communist state in Calcutta. A huge event. The Pope lands up and instead of coming to Zewas, he goes to Nirmala Hridaya, where Mother Teresa's home for the dying is. That place gets crowded. And out there is Mother Teresa waiting with the local priest. Because remember, Nirmala Hridaya shares a wall with Kalighat. This is Calcutta. It just says a war over there. And the place is packed. And from there, the Pope lands up over here. Comes this huge event. And he stays at Bishop House. And Bishop House is built on the land where Esther Leech stayed. That's where the theatre owners had given her a flat. Which has now become Bishop House. So each of these are landmarks. So that Pope thing also was something that is mentioned over here in the book. There was a nice, huge-scaled event with a lot of emotions. And he gifted Mother Teresa his Pope mobile. You know what a Pope mobile is, right? Whenever he travels, he has this bulletproof mobile with glass all around. It's called a Pope mobile. Now the Pope lands up over there. He gets enamored by Mother Teresa. He says, "Okay, you keep the car." Now, what does Mother Teresa do with the Pope mobile? She's like, what do I do with this? So she holds the raffle. Raffle tickets are being distributed, and some guy lands up in the car. And the money goes for charity.
Wonderful.
The car goes away. Cadillac. Someone told me that.
That's what Calcutta is for you, and that's what India is for you, right? A lot of cacophony, a lot of diversity, but united in the end. I think that's the whole beauty of it too. So all of that has been brilliantly portrayed in the book, and that's what made me fall in love with the book, and that's why we're so glad to have you, and we're so glad that The Autograph Seeker, your book, your debut novel, is doing so well, and we wish you all the best, Tony. And again, thank you so very much for coming on the show and sharing your experience about the book, about Calcutta, and taking us on these two lovely parallel tracks, one of Addy and Alice Anderson, where in one way it was radical, right? Because back in those times, it was like forbidden love of sorts. So that was radical in those times. And then this other really fun-loving and joyous love story of two teenagers, almost Vinny and Tony. And you literally made us fall in love with all those characters. And that's why we urge our listeners to go check out the book. I'm sure you'll love it. And as a way of showing our appreciation to you, to the book, and to our listeners, we are giving out a copy of The Autograph Seeker too.
Wow.
So there will be details.
Hey, thanks, Liz.
There will be details in the show notes section and in the promotion that goes out during the publication of this episode about how our listeners can win a copy of The Autograph Seeker by Tony V. Francis. And for the rest of them, you should go out and buy the book. We will include links to where listeners can go buy the book.
We have a Kindle version. There is Amazon has it online. So does Flipkart. It's all available out there.
Absolutely. We will include all those links in the show notes section. But again, thanks so much, Tony, for taking us to the City of Joy and making us literally go back in time and see Calcutta through the 80s and the 90s.
Thank you so much. Big thank you to Musafir Stories, the podcast. Huge thank you to you, Saif, and to you, Faiza. You guys have been awesome. I don't know. I think I just spoke my heart. You guys made me feel so relaxed. I had a wonderful time. Thank you for making me so open. I think you guys are doing a great job, and thank you so much.
That was yet another great episode of the Musafir Stories. If you guys like the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Audioboom, Savan, Pocket Casts, Castbox, Stitcher, or any other podcasting app available on iOS or Android. Please do leave us a review on iTunes. It goes a long way in the show's discoverability. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We go by the handle The Musafir Stories. Or, if it suits you, you could email us at themusafirstories@gmail.com or visit our website at www.themusafirstories.com for more information. All of these links will be made available in the show notes section of each episode. So here's to more traveling, sharing, and inspiring. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, happy travels and goodbye.